Hey guys, it's Doug Giles again, and welcome back to Creative Restorations. And one of the very first videos that I ever did in regards to pool tables here on YouTube was the various types of service work that you can have done on an antique pool table. Everything ranging from at the very lowest end or the very entry stuff, which is just the standard service of recovering, putting new rubber on your rails and stuff like that, all the way up to conservation work. And the other two things that are in between are going to be touch-up and full-blown restoration. Now, those are all things that you can have done professionally. And when things start to go awry is when you have either a jackleg mechanic that really doesn't know woodworking, or a finish guy or somebody, the homeowner that tries to get in there and do finish work on their pool table. And I got to tell you, if you don't know what you're doing with this stuff, you can really mess up an antique table that could be worth a lot of money if it were done right. Which brings me to these. These are antique rails for an antique table. And you may have heard me mention in other videos what's called a T-rail. This is a T-rail. Reason being is because it's shaped in a T, as opposed to modern rails, which don't have this entire underside on them right here. They're just flat across. Now, the difference comes in is that on these rails, the bolts go in from the side, down here, down low, okay? They get attached on the side. They go in through the side of the slate. And there's a nut buried inside the slate that bolt attaches to. On a modern rail, the slate is flat like this, and the bolt goes up through the center of it and pulls the rail down, okay? These get pulled in from the side. Modern rails get pulled in from the bottom and pulled down, okay? So, I'm going to show you right quick. Let's go to the overhead camera, and I'm going to show you right quick one of the things that can happen when you go to move a pool table yourself and you don't know what you're doing. Let's tighten up here. Do you see this? Right here. This is a crack. This tells me right here that somebody actually came along, they went to move the pool table, they flipped the table on its side, took the legs off, and all of the pressure was on this part right here, this lower section. All of the pressure was on here, and what it did, it cracked it right across here. This is one of two rails with this table that has this problem. And like I said, they flipped the table over onto its side. All of the weight went down on this lower section of the rail here, and it just cracked it. Now, I saw that they had nails in some of the sections of the table, like right here, you can see that nail. And if we grab a magnet, which I have one around here somewhere, right up here. Let's grab a magnet. And you can see that magnet just pops straight over to it. So that's a nail, okay? Now, I assumed that the only repair that was done on this rail to fix this crack was they drove nails in from underneath here. There's several of them. There's one, right here. There's actually a screw right here. We've got another nail right here. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. And it goes the entire length. There's another nail right in here. Got another one right here. And like I said, I assumed that this was the only problem, or this was the only way that they attached it, until I started looking at the top of the rail. Now, as you can see, there's burn marks and divots and 100 years worth of use on these top rails. So I actually started going through and looking at this and looking at the damage, and I noticed that some of these spots on here are a little bit too uniform in how far apart they are. So I grabbed my trusty magnet again, threw it up there, and sure enough, they didn't just put nails through the bottom, they put nails through the top as well. So this is what used to be beautiful old growth walnut, and they drove nails straight through the top. If you run into a table that has, if you run into a table that has this issue where it's cracked, this lower section is cracked, the correct fix for it is not to drive nails in this direction, back here, and toenail them in, and it's not to drive nails directly in through the top. The correct repair would be to completely separate this lower section, separate it completely off, glue the two sides, put it back together, wiggle it back and forth so you get a good seat, and then you would drill holes from the underside, drill in here, and then put screws. Now, what that does, the screws enable us to go back in. If there's another problem later on down the road, those screws enable us to take it back apart. Screws are your friend, okay? Nails, nails are nasty. Think nails nasty, screws are friends, okay? We don't want to use nails, ever, if you can help it. So that's one of the problems with this table, is that, you know, we had a mechanic that came in and decided that they were going to do some makeshift work, and they thought that it was going to actually do the job. Let's look at another problem that this rail has. I'm going to tighten up the angle here again. Do you see this line right here? This is where somebody came in and cut this section of the rail, the nose of the rail. They cut this out. You know, it's really a shame because this table actually came out of, there's a tag on the table on one of the rails that shows that this table came out of the Navy base in San Diego. I believe it was the Officers Club there in the Navy base in San Diego, which tells me that this table got a lot of use. And over the course of the past 100 years, it's gotten recovered a whole lot. It's been recovered, well, if you figure every 5 to 7 years over the course of 100 years, we're talking upwards of 20 times it's been recovered, and that will wreak havoc on these rails. Let's go back again. Let's take a look again. Right underneath here, you can see that all of this wood is chewed up, okay? This is from years and years of putting upholstery tacks into here, and it chews up the rails. And then, to make matters worse, guys like us, we go back in, we have to remove those upholstery tacks, and we use something like this, a scratch awl with a really sharp point, and we have to get underneath that and dig it out. Or we use an upholstery tack remover, which I don't have one handy. I have a couple of them, but I don't have one handy. But anyway, every time you go to do that, you're actually lifting up the fibers of the wood, and they break off. So what some mechanic, I can't say the last guy because this is obviously a very old repair. What the last guy did with this is he actually sliced this rail right down here and replaced this one section. He may have gotten this section off of another table. He may have made this. I really don't know, but I do know it's been repaired. In the process, he went back in and he put, this is a newer repair. I would probably, well, I would place this repair, I would say between 1970 and today, because we have Phillips head screws in here, which are drywall screws. And if we grab a screwdriver and we go to take these screws out, And again, this repair may not have been done completely by the guy who put these drywall screws in here may not have been the guy that put this on. The drywall screws may have been added later on down the road to give a little bit more stability to this. But when rails are really chewed up like this, there are a few things that we can do with the existing rail to help get it by more years. There are really two different repairs that we can actually implement on rails that are really chewed up like this. And you'll see this a lot with coin-operated tables, with Brunswick gold crowns that have been in pool halls, some of the Gandy tables. Again, any pool hall type table that's going to see a lot of recovering over the years, you'll run into really chewed up rails like this. One of the repairs, when the wood allows it, and if the customer doesn't want to spend an awful lot of money, one of the repairs that we can do is we'll go back and we will backfill all of those areas with Bondo. Bondo's a good medium because it's pretty much non-invasive. In other words, we're not going to go in and we're not going to mess anything up by adding Bondo into and flattening out that wood. All we're really doing is giving the staples something to hold to. It's not a permanent fix. It'll get you through maybe the next 2 to 3 recoverings, which might be as much as 20 years, okay? It might get you by an extra 20 years. That's great. A better fix would be, well, let's go back to the overhead here, where we take and we cut off this underside section. Cut this completely off and then scab in a brand new piece of wood on the underside. Shape it all back out and everything, and then you've got brand new wood right here underneath to, do your stapling too. That's a really good repair. That is a much longer term fix than the Bondo. Now, let's get into these rails. This particular set of rails and the situation that's going on with these rails. Given the fact that somebody moved the table the wrong way by putting all of that weight on these rails and they snapped in half, that oven by itself would not be, it wouldn't be the end all and be all for these rails. It wouldn't make them non-usable. We could go back in and repair that, but that's just one problem. The second problem where they came in and replaced just this end section right here, again, oven by itself would not be a problem. The fact that the underside of the rails, oven by themselves, are all chewed up would not be a problem. Where the real problem comes in is the fact that they used nails and they drove them in from 2 different directions, probably glued in there as well. We're dealing with, and there are screws all in here, and there really is no good way of getting this back apart and getting it back down to bare wood and stabilizing everything. Now, I spoke with the customer. He actually came out. I wanted to get his, do the dialogue between he and I on camera so that you guys can see exactly how I interact with my customers. And it's very similar to how I'm interacting with you guys. Just, we talk things out. But anyway, my recommendation for this particular table is that we make a brand new set of reproduction rails. Now, does that mean that I would throw away these old rails? Absolutely not. Now, these rails are in really bad condition. And for my skills with doing repairs on tables, I think that the amount of work that's going to need to go back into these to get them somewhat playable again is going to be, I'm not going to say that it's beyond my capabilities, but it's pushing the limits of it. And then you couple that with the fact that doing all of that work is not going to increase the value of the table, and it probably will not get the table back up to playing condition. With it being, as I said before, with a T-rail type table, the bolts go in through the side. And with this crack going right down the center here, when the ball hits the face, hits the nose of that rubber, what's happening is this entire top of the rail is going to want to flex. It's not by much, but it's enough to reduce the amount of rebound that you're going to have off of the rail. So this entire piece needs to be completely rebuilt. My suggestion to this customer is that we make a brand new set of reproduction rails. These rails have been gone, this old set has been gone into so many times, and it's been repaired and re-repaired and re-repaired by guys that really did not do a complete or thorough job. Since that's happened, there's really not enough here to work with. And when we consider the fact that the wood itself is kind of dry rotted now, and any repairs that we go to do may not hold long term, I think that the thing to do is going to be to make a brand new set of rails. So that's going to be some of the upcoming videos that I have. Is going to be you guys walking along with me, watching me build a brand new reproduction set of rails. I really wish that whoever did the repairs on this one before had not driven the nails through this rail cap, this walnut rail cap here, because I could have cut this back off, and we could have reused this entire rail cap, and you'd have never known that it was ever repaired. It would look just like the original. Anyway, I hope you guys have learned something. Like I said, stick around, because over the next few months, we're going to be building a brand new set of reproduction rails for this table. I hope you join me in that journey. And we're also going to be doing the video of the installation of that table. Antique tables go together slightly different than regular modern tables. So I hope you join me on that one as well. So this is Doug Giles with Creative Restorations. I thank you for joining me. Hit the like button down below. Write me a comment and tell me some stories about your pool table or your pool table experience. Maybe you tried moving a pool table yourself, didn't work out so well for you. Tell me down below. Maybe you came to this video after moving your table yourself and you did it right and you just wanted confirmation. Come on, give me some comments. Tell me how you did. If you found any of my videos to be of assistance, to help you, again, tell me about it. I like hearing this feedback from you guys. Hit the subscribe button below as well. That way I can continue, your likes, your subscriptions, and your comments help keep this channel up and running so that I can continue providing content just like this for other people that are interested in getting their tables done right. So, catch you on the next video. Y'all take care.